CHSRHealthyLife.net.
As a service to our listeners, this program is for general information and entertainment purposes only. CHSRHealthyLife.net does not recommend, endorse, or object to the views, products, or topics expressed or discussed by show hosts or their guests. We suggest you always consult with your own personal, medical, financial, or legal advisor.
Happy Wednesday, everyone. You're listening to All About Healing. I'm your host, Emily Francis, and we have the fabulous producer, Jay, on the line. Thank you, Jay, for always making this show go round. We are 6 years into this show, but today, I record at night because I'm in Malta. So for the United States, it's 10 a.m. California and 1 p.m. on the East Coast, but for me, in Malta, it's 7 p.m. And tonight, for the first time ever, I am doing this show from the island of Gozo, which is spelled G-O-Z-O, and it is the sister island of Malta. But on this island, there is a church here called Tatinu Church of Miracles, and it is, people come from around the world to ask for the intercession of Mary. And it is a church that has bestowed many blessings around the world. So I'm excited to host tonight's show and tonight's show topic coming from the island of Gozo because I'm overlooking the Mediterranean Sea. The outside looks like I'm on the movie set of Mamma Mia, like I jumped over to Greece. It's really calm and beautiful, and I'm grateful that I have reception because the droughts here and the heat waves have been cutting power across both islands a lot. But hopefully today it stays like we are right now. I'm going to introduce you now to our guest. We have the author of the new book, The Secret Life of Mother Mary. We have esoteric scholar, award-winning author, and global authority on virgin birth. We have Marguerite Mary Rigoglioso, Ph.D., Rigoglioso. I said it right?
Yes. The latter was perfect.
Rigoglioso. I knew I messed it up when I said it, and I said, I checked it before the show. But, Marguerite, I'm so happy to have you on. Thank you for being here and for being patient with me, because as you know, I was worried that the show would have some difficulties, and so far so good. But coming from Gozo, have you ever heard of Malta or Gozo or any of this?
Well, as a matter of fact, Emily, first of all, thank you for having me, and to Jay as well. I wanted to tell you that, indeed, I do know Gozo because I have been to Malta. I'm trying to remember what exact year I went there. I went on a pilgrimage with Willow Lamont and Clotilde Mifsud, and we went to those ancient temples that are shaped in according to the body of the ancient goddess, and where many of those ancient statues were found of this sacred feminine figure. So,
yes,
we did ceremonies on many of these sacred sites. We did see some of the Mary cathedrals and churches associated, because of course that is the latter day, I would say, overlay, right, of the ancient goddess presence and veneration. So it is near and dear to my heart, that archipelago of Malta.
I love that. That makes me so happy because so many people have never heard of it, and it's my beloved now. I've been here for 4 years now, living in Malta, and I love it with all my heart. And I visit the Lady of the Grotto, who cries tears of human blood. I go there often. I feel like she's, I don't know, when I go down and spend time with her, something incredible tends to happen.
Yeah.
And I just love the energy of being near her. And I love these sacred sites on the island, and no one questions the authenticity of these stories, of these rituals, of what is here, of these miracle places. No one looks at you here and doubts the magic and the manifest that is here. And they don't downplay the sacred feminine. And I I'm so grateful to be in a place now that's surrounded with that sort of ritual and depth and knowledge and respect.
Oh, how amazing. And I remember there was an altar where couples would go for conception as well. You know, I mean, this is what,
yes.
This is a continuation of the indigenous tradition in Europe and, you know, all of these other places, because there is an indigenous tradition, even in Europe, prior to Christianity, right? And so you are there. You are on this power spot. How wonderful. And I love your description of the Mediterranean out there and how it looks. Oh, heaven.
It is heaven. You know, I call my house heaven on earth, because all the houses here, homes, villas, whatever, they all have names. They don't really have addresses. They have names of their home. And mine is not what I call it, but I call it heaven on earth. That's my name for the home.
You are inspiring me so much to visit these places and have regular presence with them. So thank you.
Well, thank you. Let's jump in, because I love what you're about, what you're teaching, what you're writing. But I want to start from the beginning. What was it that drew you to this particular study?
Yes, of Mother Mary, because this book is about her history and her presence right now and where we are going with her in the future. The subtitle is Divine Feminine Power for Personal Healing and Planetary Awakening. And so this really goes back to my own spiritual awakening into the sacred feminine back in, I'm trying to remember what year now. I was in my late 20s, and I went to this event in the Boston area at an organization. It was an event on women and self-esteem. And the leader of that event, Greta Bro, a therapist, said that, you know, in order to understand how your self-esteem has been wounded as a woman, you need to understand how we have been cut off from the feminine face of God, the sacred feminine, the goddess. And it was this revelation where it was both new to me, and I also said, oh, I knew it, right? So she talked about how goddesses have been and still are venerated and worked with all around the world. And she said, you know, yes, there is this whole indigenous tradition in Europe, for those of you who are of European ancestry, which, you know, I am. And here's where you can find out more about it in the work of Maria Gimbutas, the archaeologist, into unveiling the goddess in ancient Europe and all over the place. So that was my conscious awakening. But prior to that, when I was 10 years old, you know, I had the experience of mother loss. My mother passed from this world. She was ill due to lupus, and that was my own kind of initiation into the Demeter and Persephone mother-daughter separation mystery. So I had a very visceral experience of that, and I've been kind of searching for my mother or mother ever since then. And then I had this awakening to the sacred feminine, and then that really started me on a path of both intellectual discovery and experiential journeys in places of the world that were power spots sacred to the feminine, and in women's circles in the Boston area and then beyond. And I went to California, and I went to the California Institute of Integral Studies, and I got my master's and PhD after having done a women's program essentially in the Boston area for 3 years, and a lot of experiential activity, a lot of reading, a lot of circles and rituals. And it brought me into contact pretty quickly with Mother Mary, because once you start looking at the goddess, you realize that Mother Mary is the goddess of the West, is the goddess of Christianity, was the goddess in my own backyard. And I began exploring what that was all about from historical perspectives and religious perspectives and what was repressed about her. And I gradually started getting into more of a personal one-on-one relationship with her. And then when I created my mystery school, Seven Sisters Mystery School, in 2012, I really accelerated into helping people have experiences of her piecing together the ancient history of who she is, as well as then working with her as a personal healer and spiritual awakener. So that kind of brings us to today. I've written 2 books about her now. The first one is The Mystery Tradition of Miraculous Conception, opening the world's eyes to her as a bona fide divine birth priestess. Yes, that this was a practice that was part of women's lineages, and she was a part of it. She wasn't the only one. She wasn't acting alone, and kind of making sense of that for people. And now moving into this book, which is her life beyond the conception of Jesus into how she taught Jesus, how she worked with Jesus, and what she did with the early Christian community after the crucifixion and the resurrection.
I have so many questions, and I have to tell you, it probably drives some people crazy, and it makes other people really happy, but I don't read the questions that publicists send to me before the show.
I love it, because I don't want to keep answering those same old questions.
Well, me neither, that too, but also once I hear your voice and I connect to your energy, the questions that I may have had go out the window. Because it's kind of like when I taught yoga, and I would come in with music, and I'd put it in, and then the group that would walk into the class, I would pull the music out, like this is not the right vibe for today. Yeah. So I realized I make myself anxious if I try to pre-plan, and instead I come into this. And especially this conversation, I would have canceled this show if it was not about what we're talking about, because Gozo, because I'm here for one night, and because the power cuts and all the things. But to be in Gozo, where it's so sacred, and I always come to Chapinu and seek out the help. But, I feel like I have a closeness also with the Divine Feminine, Mother Mary. I am also very curious about Mary Magdalene, but we'll talk about that at a later part of the show. What I want to ask you, just from the very beginning, when you said who Mary is, not just as a person as partnering with you for healing, but what would Mary want people to know who she is? How would you describe her?
Yeah. So, I've been very steeped in this since my book came out on July 16th, 2024, and we had a book party for this online. I've given an in-person reading. Then just yesterday, to celebrate the Magdalene feast day in the Catholic Church, I had a special oracle transmission for special members of the Seven Sisters community who had supported the book launch in certain ways. And so I was in my high oracle state, working with sacred medicine, which I sometimes do. There are a couple of sacred medicines I work with. What was the first thing that the Marys said? Because it was an oracle all about the Marys, who they are, what they're here to help humanity with, and so forth. And they said, "We are you. We are you in your highest self." So this is not about you coming to understand us as calcified historical figures that you can then worship and bow down to. No. This is a whole other way of understanding the sacred feminine and spirituality, which is opening the doors to your own deeper self, your own Goddess Sophia, if you will, self, the being of wise seeing and womb wisdom and hearted interactivity. And all of this is you and more, and we simply want to turn on those aspects of what's within you that's part of our Mary stream and help you do whatever healing is needed and restoration and resurrection, in fact, that is needed to restore your body, mind, spirit, release any negative energies that are blocking you so that you really can have that full lived experience of who we are, who you are. That is the short story, Emily.
I love that, and I want to sit with it, but I can't sit too long because I'm the one running the show. But what I would feel to ask then is, if they are, and I understand what was just said, but I also would like to know if there is a way to differentiate the two Marys in your mind, in your energy, when you feel them. Is there even though they're all part of me, is there something that would make me know Mary Magdalene's here to help and be with me? Mother Mary's here to help and be with me. Like,
Yes.
you know how sometimes when you're working with healing, you can feel when Kuan Yin enters the space.
Absolutely.
Or White Buffalo Calf Woman enters. So what is the energy, could you, of the two?
Mm-hmm. So the main message yesterday also was that while they and we are all part of a unity stream, we are also individuals within that stream. So it's about holding the paradox of diversity in unity and unity in diversity. So you are a specific personality, complex structure, node that is within this divine realm, and that personality structure and the experiences that you've had matter. And similarly, Mother Mary is a personality structure within the great stream of the goddess, as is Mary Magdalene. They have their different angles. They have their different, it's like quartz crystals. No two are alike, yet they're all part of the realm of quartz crystals. But you might call on one because of its shape and size and texture and, clarity or things that are inside of it for one thing and another one for another, right? So the same thing with the Marys. And depending on what medicine you are needing, you will intuit, or they will come to you if you're asking for generalized help. They will come to you based on the medicine they know you need, because they might be particularly talented in one thing or another. So Mary Magdalene has her particular talents, Mother Mary has her particular talents, and there are other Marys, which we can talk about as well. And so that's how we reconcile and work with these specific Marys who are available to us, because they do continue to exist as outside energy complexes and then energy complexes of what's within us. So it's a both and. We're being invited to hold paradox and embrace paradox of duality and unity, because as we embrace that paradox, we open to deeper and deeper dimensions of consciousness.
Your book could not have come at a better time, because the women need this. The women of the world. They need this. And, you were telling the story, and I'm so deeply sorry that you lost your mother so young. I lost my father really young, and I was exceptionally close to him. And when I was growing up, I really always tried to be, like, masculine. I found the feminine to be very weak. I was always trying to be tough, and I couldn't embrace that soft, beautiful yin. And I remember even training with martial arts. I was the only female and the only American for several years. Yeah. And my teacher one time said, if you could learn to fight like a woman, like a cat, you would beat all of us every time. And I said, how would I do that? You're the one training me. How would I possibly know what that soft yin yield would look like? I don't know anything about it. And then I started going to acupuncture, and my acupuncturist, Chinese medical practitioner, became a best friend of mine and a mentor. And she was so sexy, so feminine, so powerful. Yeah. She embraced so many different things. And I was the same age as you when that stuff opened. I was 27. And it was like, she was the first person that ever taught me how incredibly sumptuous, sexy, strong it is to come into that feminine and really learn what it feels like in your body and how to use it and to embrace it, not to where you leave the masculine, but where it doesn't leave. And you start to find strength from that softness. And I do want to know about the other Marys, because I do feel like, I probably could have a wider audience to work with in healing if I knew them.
Mm-hmm. Well, first of all, just to acknowledge what you were saying, nobody would want to fool around with the female lioness or a female bear who's got cubs around, That's fierceness. That's power. That's the warrior energy that's that's applied in a right way and in a female body, right? So that's, you know, the feminine isn't all like butterflies and roses, okay? She can be really fierce, and there's claws. You know, there are thorns to that rose, right? So it's a complete package. But in terms of the Marys, well, we have Mother Mary, we have Mary Magdalene, and we have a third very interesting Mary. Of course, there are more. But this Mary is Mother Mary's sister. And I talk about that in the Secret Life of Mother Mary book. So I encourage people to go and look up that. Who is this Mary? Where did she come from, right? She literally is Mother Mary's biological sister. And so what was her role? And what is her medicine for all of us? And, of course, there's the Mary of the Hebrew Bible, Miriam, the sister of Aaron and Moses. There are many other Marys in the Bible. So I'll just pause there because we can talk about this lineage of the Marys.
That's incredible, and I definitely want to pick that up. So we're going to take a quick commercial break. We are on with the author of the new book, The Secret Life of Mother Mary. We have Marguerite Mary Rigoglioso, Ph.D., and we'll be right back.
Emily A. Francis's new book, The Taste of Joy, Mediterranean Wisdom for a Life Worth Savoring, is all about heartfelt hints on attaining the most healthiest, fun, and inspiring life. By adding a bit of the Mediterranean lifestyle into your life, you'll explore the wisdom of eating mindfully, seasonally, and locally, as well as discover Mediterranean family secrets to health and happiness. And it's all in The Taste of Joy. Get your copy today at Amazon.com or visit EmilyAFrancisBooks.com.
Now there's hope for authentic healing. A new book by Emily A. Francis, Whole Body Healing. Create your own path to physical, emotional, energetic, and spiritual wellness can help you discover a deeper way to approach your healing instead of using just the usual mainstream medical single methods. With Whole Body Healing and its extensive background of research, you'll be able to create your own healing path to achieve true and lasting results. Pre-order Whole Body Healing now at Amazon.com. You won't want to miss this priceless information. Whole Body Healing at Amazon.com by Emily A. Francis.
ASMC, the premier German company that supplies everything for adventure, from outdoor clothes to outdoor gear, even backpacks. Lots of quality and lots of specials. To start your adventure, go to HealthyLife.net's advertiser page and click on ASMC.
You may never totally understand this man-woman emotional connection thing, but now you can understand your muscles' emotional connection in regards to your health. That's right, your muscles have an emotional connection. And if you want an easy-to-use blueprint to understand your muscles' emotion, then get Emily A. Francis's book, The Body Heals Itself. It helps you activate and heal your muscles on an emotional level. So indeed, the body heals itself. Plus, it's filled with tools you can use immediately. Find out more at EmilyAFrancisBooks.com. Buy The Body Heals Itself now.
When you need a positive point of view, turn to HealthyLife.net, your 24/7 radio network for a better future.
Welcome back, everyone. You're listening to All About Healing, and I hope you're feeling as inspired as I am feeling right now, having this conversation with Marguerite Mary Rigoglioso. And before we get started, where can people find you, and where can they order the book?
Oh, thank you so much. So people can find me and the many things that I offer everybody in terms of classes and personal work and all that at 7 SevenSistersMysterySchool.com. The 7 is written out, S-E-V-E-N, and there you will find a wealth of opportunities, from free, to many other kinds of things, including, and you might be interested in this, Emily, and your listeners might be, my forthcoming Mary and Magdalene Priestess Training, which is enrolling now and starts September 10th. So we can talk about that if you want, as to how to really live this Mary and this Magdalene path in your life. What does that mean? And in terms of the book, The Secret Life of Mother Mary, that is sold wherever books are sold. On the Inner Traditions website, my beautiful publisher, Simon & Schuster and Barnes & Noble sites, and, of course, good old Amazon.com. And best of all, you can ask your local bookstore to order it, stock it, and you can buy it there to keep those wonderful venues that we need so much alive.
May I add to that, not just your local bookstores, friends, go to your public libraries. These books are always available. So if they're not there in the public library, all you have to do is request the book. And then from then, that book will always be in the public library. So please, if you're listening to this and you don't want to go to someplace else and you have access, it's actually even bigger for the authors, surprisingly, to have them in the public library. So please do ask your public libraries, wherever you are around the world, to get a copy of this book. The copy, again, the title of the book, The Secret Life of Mother Mary. And Marguerite, tell me the subtitle again.
Yes, it's Divine Feminine Power for Personal Healing and Planetary Awakening,
which we are in right now. Wow.
Right.
Okay, let's go through some of the lineage, though, of Mary, because I don't know much about the Hebrew Miriam. I really always sort of studied a very specific path, but it doesn't have any rhyme or reason, and it doesn't necessarily go with any particular religious space. It was more what was drawn to me, what was taught to me, what I navigated and pulled towards me, and then I didn't go further around. So I'd love to hear some of the lineage and how this is all Mary, starting with her biological sister. I'd love to hear that part.
Yeah. Well, I think you've done it a great way, because ultimately this lineage of Mary's is not connected to any religion or any dogma. This is like an available stream of energy and information that has lots of parallels in many other traditions around the world. It's identical, with some of these other priestesshoods and practices and all that kind of thing. So what I'm doing is I'm decoupling all of this from the hijacking and the stealing of the images and the energies of the Marys for certain institutional purposes that are generally to suppress people, and disempower people, especially women. So this unveiling is all about how seeing that the Marys are available to everyone, whether you have been brought up in Christian denominations or not. If you feel like this is an interesting doorway by which to enter into the sacred feminine and the mystical stream, do it. Trust your instinct. And if it's not, find what is, right? So I'm just exploring how this mystery has been here all along for so many of us who were brought up in Christian, and I would even say Jewish traditions, all right? Because, like we're saying, the Miriam name goes way back into Judaism, and guess what, Emily, back into Egypt. Because the term Mary goes back to Maria, goes back to Mariam in the Arabic, Miriam in the Hebrew, and Mary in the Egyptian, which is a term that was always associated with Isis. It was like an honorific title that meant beloved, beloved of, or divine love, divine lover, the one who loves, okay? So it is a love priestess title. It's not really a personal name. But, of course, like all of these wonderful titles, they become names, right? But it's really about a lineage of women who are very connected with how to open their consciousness to be able to see other dimensions and have this psychic knowing, to be able to be open in their hearts, to be acting from unconditional love, wise love, and to have their womb capacities cleared and empowered to be able to use their womb in magical ways for healing and conception. This is what the Marys are all about, and this is how I am teaching about the Marys and so forth. So, I will just pause there to see if we would like to go into another branch of this question, or if that kind of answered what you were getting at.
It gives me deep reflection, but my reflection tends to turn towards the political climate right now, and I don't necessarily want to make it a big thing, but I have a feeling you and I are very much on the same page for what needs to occur, and I do want to bring that around because there's something that you said in the description that I think is really important. And it's what your publisher sent to me. And I want to read this little paragraph because I think it's powerful, and I want to see what you would say following this paragraph. So the paragraph is, many women have trouble with the image of the Virgin Mary, a young woman whose most esteemed quality has been celibacy. Yet, as Marguerite reveals in inspiring depth, Mary was not just a docile maiden chosen by God to be the mother of Jesus. She was a great spiritual master in her own right, a sought-after healer and holy priestess who continued her public work long after Jesus' resurrection. I feel like that power part of her gets suppressed, and I think it's something incredibly important that needs to be brought to the forefront. Obviously you do too, or you wouldn't have written an entire book. But right now in this unbelievable time in history, what can we say? How can we ourselves become our own, formidable, we don't have to, we can practice religion if we want to, it's fine. But it doesn't mean that we go dormant.
That's right. So we've been talking more about the Marys as a kind of universal stream that people can access. So now we're going to look at that personality imprint of Mother Mary who walked the planet 2,000 years ago or so, right? And it is important to rectify her image and her history, reclaim her history, restore that was suppressed about her. And I know that we're going to continue in our conversation with that.
We'll pick up exactly there.
That.
Yeah, so we have a quick commercial break. We'll be right back. We're picking it right back up.
Trauma or joy, shame or happiness, guilt or empowerment. Let Emily's new book, Healing Ourselves Whole, be the bridge to help you release negative emotions to help you heal on every level to create more joy, more health, and more vitality. Our body knows what we might forget. It's time to rearrange your inner conversation into spectacular health and happiness, and Healing Ourselves Whole is your step-by-step guide. Find out more at EmilyAFrancisBooks.com and buy Healing Ourselves Whole at Amazon.com now.
Now there's hope for authentic healing. A new book by Emily A. Francis, Whole Body Healing. Create your own path to physical, emotional, energetic, and spiritual wellness can help you discover a deeper way to approach your healing instead of using just the usual mainstream medical single methods. With Whole Body Healing and its extensive background of research, you'll be able to create your own healing path to achieve true and lasting results. Pre-order Whole Body Healing now at Amazon.com. You won't want to miss this priceless information. Whole Body Healing at Amazon.com by Emily A. Francis.
Audiobooks gives you instant access to over 50,000 of the best sellers and hottest book titles in romance, mystery, fiction, and many other genres. Just visit HealthyLife.net's advertiser page and click on Audiobooks to get started.
You may never totally understand this man-woman emotional connection thing, but now you can understand your muscles' emotional connection in regards to your health. That's right, your muscles have an emotional connection. And if you want an easy-to-use blueprint to understand your muscles' emotion, then get Emily A. Francis's book, The Body Heals Itself. It helps you activate and heal your muscles on an emotional level. So indeed, the body heals itself. Plus, it's filled with tools you can use immediately. Find out more at EmilyAFrancisBooks.com. Buy The Body Heals Itself now.
The Bright Side of Talk. HealthyLife.net.
Welcome back, everyone. You're listening to All About Healing. Our guest is Marguerite Mary Rigoglioso, Ph.D. She is the author of the new book, The Secret Life of Mother Mary. You can buy this book from the Inner Traditions website. You can go to the bookstores, go to the big stores, go to the local bookstores. If it's not there, ask for it. It's available. And by all means, go to your public library and ask for them to order it as well. We were just getting into Mother Mary as we know her and as she truly is, and how those images haven't really been in line with who she really always was. So I'm going to let you pick it back up where we just stopped.
Yes, because the most remarkable thing about this book, The Secret Life of Mother Mary, is this reclamation of the information that has actually long been available in textual form about who Mother Mary was when she was with Jesus, okay, when she created Jesus, and when she taught Jesus, when she was the leader of the whole entire early, if you want to call it Christian community, after Jesus' death and so forth. These are the images that are retrieved from the ancient texts that were suppressed, rejected by Christian authorities, but are still there, as well as the biographies that were written about her that were probably based on those texts, but others that were lost. That's what scholars know. And here's the picture that unfolds about Mother Mary. She was a massive healer. She could heal people of physical and emotional ailments. She was a yogic master of the womb mysteries. She knew and was able to accomplish not only divine birth, but she helped Jesus resurrect his body after the crucifixion through these, what we call yogas, that involve mantras and sacred drawings and things like that from ancient India and other places. She knew how to remove people of negative spirits, and she was a master mentor and guide, not only of the women in the early community around them, but of the men as well, the male and female apostles. She was their leader. She was their teacher. She told them to go out to the known world and make these teachings about divine love available and then come back at Easter time. Let's talk about it. How's it been for you? And she was Mary Magdalene's mother-in-law and mentor. Okay, so that's just a little list to give people an intriguing view into what they will find between the covers of The Secret Life of Mother Mary.
I love that. And you said something that I believe, and I would like for you to say it again. You said that she is Mary Magdalene's mother-in-law.
Yeah. That I finally had to figure out, right? Like, if A equals B and B equals C, then A equals C, right? So we've been, over the last 40 years, revealing that Mary Magdalene was not the penitent prostitute, but she was a high priestess in her own right, and partner of Jesus, probably wife of Jesus, probably gave birth to Jesus' children, right? If we accept that lineage of information that's been going on through scholarship, as well as more popular things like the Da Vinci Code, then who is Mother Mary to Mary Magdalene? Her mother-in-law. Now, we know from the Gospel of Philip, as I discussed in this book, that 3 of the women always walked with Jesus: Mother Mary, Mary Magdalene, And Mother Mary's sister, Mary Patagita, who we have not been able to talk about very much, but we could go into that a little bit, and that's in the book. And so they were, what I learned from her biographies is that Mother Mary was a teacher and initiator of Mary Magdalene. She helped her rise to be the head of the women's disciples and so forth. And so, what was their relationship as mother-in-law, daughter-in-law? Well, it wasn't your usual, conflicted kind of situation. They were working at very deep mystical levels with Jesus and in their conception mysteries. So Mother Mary knew how to conceive without men, and Mary Magdalene knew how to conceive with men, both at very high levels of conception practice, so that they would bring in special beings. That's just a little tidbit, again, that's in the book, of what you can find me describing the relationship between Mother Mary and Mary Magdalene.
When you describe these, and you've studied this, do you find that you get a lot of pushback because people are so married, pardon my expression, but married to their only doctrine?
No, you know what? I find that people who get drawn to this material are basically the ones who are open to it. I've not had guff because people they fall away like water coming off a duck's back. They don't go there. And any time, like there's one instance where a family member, I gave the book and she started with all this sort of stuff, and I'm like, you know what, I don't think this is aligned for you, so just give the book away to somebody else, right? All my life I've been lucky enough to just have people who are mostly into what I'm talking about come to me and not getting a lot of contradictory, communications to me. The only time that happens is when I try to step my foot out and be like this warrior in environments that are not open to it, like certain listers and this and that. Then you're going to get the bullets, right? But if you just sort of stick with what you're saying and let the people who are attracted come, that's it. It's a lot better.
That's true. That's absolutely true. I think, for me, because I grew up in the South, in Georgia, and I felt really shut. I had a great whole circle around me, Native American peace elders that I studied with, and all, and I was a massage therapist and a yoga instructor, and, the people I had built around me were all in alignment with who I was. And then I got married, and I love my husband, and he's so compatible with me, but he's the black sheep of his family and world, and it was very hard to have my books come out, and I started to give it to his mom, who I love, but I started to give it to his mom, and he intervened and said, no, I don't think so. I don't think that's a good thing to do, and it was so, and then I found that I'd started to draw a few other, like, massage clients and people that were so against, that were so evangelical that it felt like it was hard to breathe, and I couldn't quite navigate the middle enough to feel my power anymore. Like, I kind of stepped out. I mean, I know the things that I know, and I've written 6 books, on healing. Yeah. My stuff's a little bit different. Obviously, mine's on muscles and emotions and body healing, but still, you're in the field. I'm the, I'm the author of Witchy Mama. You can't get around it. Yeah. But it's an interesting, because I did wonder, this is so powerful, and I'm listening to you, and then I have this, sort of other voice in my head hearing some of these angry people that just are jumping on the Bible says, and they have they never care that the Bible's been written and rewritten and torn out, and, so many things to fit a narrative. That part, that way of thinking doesn't seem to go hand in hand with where we're heading. We're going to take our last commercial break, but we're going to come back, and it's Emily's Energy Corner, which means nothing because we're going to be exactly doing what we're doing. So don't go away, everybody. We'll be right back.
Emily A. Francis's new book, The Taste of Joy, Mediterranean Wisdom for a Life Worth Savoring, is all about heartfelt hints on attaining the most healthiest, fun, and inspiring life. By adding a bit of the Mediterranean lifestyle into your life, you'll explore the wisdom of eating mindfully, seasonally, and locally, as well as discover Mediterranean family secrets to health and happiness. And it's all in The Taste of Joy. Get your copy today at Amazon.com or visit EmilyAFrancisBooks.com.
Now there's hope for authentic healing. A new book by Emily A. Francis, Whole Body Healing. Create your own path to physical, emotional, energetic, and spiritual wellness can help you discover a deeper way to approach your healing instead of using just the usual mainstream medical single methods. With Whole Body Healing and its extensive background of research, you'll be able to create your own healing path to achieve true and lasting results. Pre-order Whole Body Healing now at Amazon.com. You won't want to miss this priceless information. Whole Body Healing at Amazon.com by Emily A. Francis.
Constant Contact and your small business make a perfect fit for marketing. They give you what you need to succeed. Fast and easy email marketing at your fingertips. Visit the HealthyLife.net advertiser page and click on Constant Contact to start your marketing.
If you have low vision or are blind, then listen up. There's now high visibility trendy sports clothing available just for you. At AwareWolfGear.com, you'll find attractive, stretchy, warm hoodies, headgear, leggings, even kids wear to fit the duality of blindness, the need to be seen without drawing needless attention. Check out these trendy clothes for yourself or for someone you know at AwareWolfGear.com. That's AwareWolfGear.com. AwareWolfGear.com.
Music, information, and friends. HealthyLife.net.
Welcome back, everyone. It's that time. It's Emily's Energy Corner, which, Marguerite, that means a lot of times I don't keep the guests on, and I'll just talk off the cuff. But I wanted to keep you on because this conversation is too vital, in my opinion, to where I hope and pray that the women begin to turn and open and claim, basically. But in the Energy Corner, I get to ask whatever I feel like. And I did wait purposely for this topic to be the last one of the day. I'm on your website, 7sistersmysteryschool.com. Let me say it again. 7, the number 7, S-E-V-E-N. 7 Sisters, with an S, mysteryschool.com. And I see a tab on there that makes me really happy. And that tab says, for men. And before I ask the question, the reason that makes me happy is because I feel like so many people are on a quest to go into that feminine that we feel like that means we have to shut out the masculine. And I think the higher conscious people know that that's not the way, that there's such value in both aspects of our oneness, of the androgynous beings of the sacred feminine and the masculine and God and goddess. So I love that you have something on there, and I'm grateful for that. So if you would just tell me a little bit about, what you offer for men or what your thoughts are when you're working so hard on the divine feminine power.
Yes, so over the years, I was mainly, almost exclusively working with women just because that's who was drawn to me, or it would be a training specifically for women. But over the last few years, I've opened up my classes to everyone. And there have been a number of men who have been attracted to any of the various materials I've done in my courses, many of which are available as on-demand courses. And I even have, one man who's interested in the priestess training, believe it or not, the Mary and Magdalene priestess training. As I have done my own healing and as I have been able to embrace the masculine and release a lot of the anger and things that I've had, it's allowed my heart to open and have my classroom and one-on-one spaces open to the men. And so, of course, the material about Mother Mary is completely relevant to people of all sexes. And because there's so much medicine in there, not just for women, but for men who are looking at how can they receive the healing they need, how can they undergo the awakening they need. All of that teaching and those templates that are there with Mother Mary that I talk about in The Secret Life of Mother Mary are available for men. It's not a women-exclusive path or set of teachings or information. And of course, we absolutely need to help facilitate the unification of men and women in our world today, because there's nothing intrinsically wrong with the masculine or the feminine. This division that has happened is because of the presence of other energies that have been beset upon this planet, energies of which the Holy Sacred Family came to the planet to address. All of the problems and issues and interdimensional shenanigans that we have today were all being described and discussed at that time of the world, and you can see a lot of it in the Gnostic Gospels. That's where I've been teaching a lot about this. So it's really about clearing and healing the masculine, clearing and healing the feminine, and allowing us both to come together. And I see that this work with Mother Mary is facilitating that absolutely.
I think that is the best. That was the best thing that everybody needs to hear. I mean, if I were you, when you take this show, I would cut that part and use it. I would use it everywhere. I think
Great
it's
idea.
Such a powerful message. I think it's so vitally important that we don't leave the men behind on our quest to really empower ourselves as women. That's not the goal, you know. And I think that it's important that we understand that we also are masculine and feminine, that everything is yin and yang. It's not you have to only be this one, but to find the power in both and the softness in both. They both have it.
You'll love this, Emily, because what I've realized in all this research with Mother Mary, that in order for her to be able to give divine birth, where she was not working with male sperm or even a male interdimensional being, she had to become the androgyne again. She had to become the masculine and feminine, the whole being within herself. And so that, when I finally realized that, I was like, oh my gosh, you know, this isn't just about the feminine giving birth parthenogenetically, but the feminine who becomes the hermaphrodite, who then gives birth parthenogenetically. And that's just been a big realization for me lately. And it finds such an interesting parallel in the Gnostic material, where we are shown, the Gnostic and the Greek material, where we are shown that, believe it or not, the original human form was hermaphroditic, was male-female. And it wasn't until that was torn asunder by these negative energies that the trouble began and the splitting of the sexes started. So when we are doing this healing to amplify our companion part, if you're a man, it's the feminine. If you're a woman, it's the masculine. You are doing that healing of your intrinsic, original, angelic nature. And that is part of what this mystery tradition and teaching is all about, and what I've been teaching deeply about for the past 2 years, and will be continuing in the Mary and Magdalene Priestess training.
I'm going to take it a sidestep now and say, I believe the Great Spirit has laid the groundwork for us to see these miracles in other ways so that we can understand it, like the caterpillar to the butterfly, death and rebirth. Mm-hmm. But I just found out this week, I did an interview with one of the most sacred beekeepers, actually. They've won, like, the world's best honey, and they live in this very small area in Malta where the bees have been tested, and they're so far removed from the rest of the world that they're the most pure. But what I found out, and you probably know this, but I have never had any idea, the queen bee, her job is to mate with the drone. So she is mating, and she does need the drone. But inside queen bee's body herself, she doles out what she needs to be able to make a female bee or a male bee, because her responsibility is to keep the numbers of the drones, the male bees, and the worker bees, the female bees, and it is her and only her that puts the hormones where it needs to go to create male or female bees. Is that amazing?
That's right, and that's why the bee is such an ancient totem in the ancient Essenes, in fact, which is the lineage of these Marys, essentially the Essenes. And some people say that the Essene means bee. The Delphic oracle was a bee, a queen bee, and so we see a lot of this bee energy associated with these great ancient priestesses, and there's a reason, because they had that power.
There's a reason. Absolutely. I am so glad that we got through this whole show with no power outages, that we can speak so beautifully. I have so enjoyed you, and you guys that are listening, I want you to run to the stores, the public libraries, the bookstores, your own secret bestsellers, The Secret Life of Mother Mary by Marguerite Mary Rigoglioso, Ph.D., and you can go to SevenSistersMysterySchool.com. Thank you so much for being here, and you guys that are listening, make it a great week.